Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum to all of you. I hope that you all are fine, happy and fresh. This is your science teacher Muhammad Mashood Khan, and we are studying chapter number 7, that is forces and their effects. Before we start today's lecture, I will just recall the previous knowledge that what we have discussed so far in this chapter. We have discussed about force, unit of force, force meter or the Newton meter, and we have discussed about why do things float. So I will just recall all this one by one. Force, we said that force is push or a pull, or in other words, force is an agent that can change the direction of a moving object, or it can bring a motion in an object that is at rest, or it can just stop an object that is already moving. The unit of force is Newton. Then we discussed about the force meter or the Newton meter. Force meter is just nothing but a spring with some reading outside written on it and a hook. We attach some mass to that hook which will stretch that spring. So when the spring will be stretched, there is a reading which is written outside, so we can just check out that what is the reading. So this stretching of spring is basically showing you the force or the load which is being exerted on the spring. Then we discuss about that why do things float. So we said that objects whose weight is greater than the weight of the displaced water will get sink, or the object which is exerted in the water, if its weight is less than the water, than the weight of the water which is displaced, in that case the object will float. Now what we are going to discuss today is the elasticity. That what is elasticity? So it says when an external force is applied to a rigid body, there is a change in its length, volume or shape. Such a property of a body by virtue of which a body tends to regain its original shape or size when external forces are removed is called elasticity. Or in other words, we can say the ability of the body to return to its original length after being stretched is called the elasticity. It is quite easy to understand elasticity with some general life examples. For example, if you have a rubber band in your hand and if you stretched it, so what will happen if you stretch it, if you will remove the force, it will come back to its original position, or in other words you can say it will regain its shape. So the property in which a force is applied on an object and it changes its shape, and after the removal of that force, if it regains its shape or it regains its previous position, we call that property as the elasticity. Now you can see there is an animation in which you can see that there is a spring and there is some mass attached to it and they are kept horizontally. So when the force is applied on that mass which is attached to it, the spring is compressed. So while the spring is compressed, you can see it has changed its position and also its shape is changed. So when this force will be released, what happens that the spring comes back to its previous position and it regains its shape. So that is called the elasticity, in which when a force acts on an object, it changes its shape or its position is changed, and after the removal of the force it regains its shape or it regains its previous position. That is called the elasticity. Now the term associated with the elasticity is the elastic limit. That what is meant by elastic limit, or explain what elastic limit means. So elastic limit is the maximum amount of force beyond which the material which is being stretched will not come back to its original length, or in other words we can say the elastic limit is the maximum amount an object can stretch if the object stretches at all. So we can also understand this elastic limit by a general life example. In your childhood, you might have experienced that to tease your friend, you might have taken a rubber band and you would have stretched it and then released it, and it might have hit your fellow. So in this activity, what happened that basically if you are stretching a rubber, that rubber can be stretched to its maximum limit. Like there will be a limit to that point, there will be a point till that point only the rubber can be stretched. After that point, what will happen if you will stretch more, if you will apply some more force, the rubber will not stretch anymore and the rubber will be broken up. So we say that the point where any object will stop stretching, that point is called the elastic limit of that object. We can take another example to understand this. We can take the example of a plastic scale. So if you take this plastic scale and you just apply some force, it will bend. There is certain limit of this bending. So that limit is basically called the elastic limit. After that limit, the scale will not bend. In fact, the scale will be broken up, and or in other words we can say that it will just it will permanently change its shape. So the point after which there is a permanent deformation or there is a permanent change in the shape of that object, that is called the elastic limit. Till that point it will bear, till elastic limit it will stretch and bend. After that elastic limit, the object will be permanently deformed. And you can witness this thing in the video that is shared with you, that there is a point, till that point there is the flexibility in the scale, it can bend, it will just regain its shape, but after that limit it is not coming back to its shape and it is permanently deformed. So summarizing today's lecture, that what we have studied in this lecture, we have studied about the elasticity, and we said that elasticity is basically a force that is applied to a rigid body and there is a change in its length, volume or the shape, and such property of a body by virtue of which a body tends to regain its original shape or size is called the elasticity. Then we discussed about the elastic limit, that what is the elastic limit. So we said that elastic limit is the maximum amount of force beyond which the material which is being stretched will not come back to its original length. Or in other words, we explained the elastic limit is that the elastic limit is the maximum amount an object can stretch if the object stretches at all. And then we took the example of the rubber band, that when we stretch the rubber band, there is certain point, till that point the rubber band would be stretched, and after that point there will be no stretching produced, there will be no further extension in the length of the rubber band. In fact, after that point, if you will exert some force, further force, it will not stretch, it will just be broken up. So we can say that elastic limit is the maximum limit of an object where it can be stretched. After that point, the object will be D-shaped permanently, or it will be broken up, or it will not regain its previous position. So I hope that you have understood this all, and if there will be any question, any query, definitely you are